Hey everybody, and welcome back to Welcome Grove Homestead, and hopefully our last snowy video. We are coming out of the polar vortex. We should be seeing almost all of the snow, I would imagine, melting off tomorrow. Our high is going to be in the 40s, and it's only going to keep going up after that. We're actually going to be reaching all the way up into the 60s this week, so it's going to be a blessed relief. But this polar vortex has it's had its challenges with having to bust ice out of waters and trying to keep animals warm and with plenty of hay. So yesterday was an interesting day. David tried to put some hay in for the cows, and we had a slight complication. Now I ended up filming this segment with my phone and was freezing. Oh my gosh, my hands were in so much pain because they had no gloves on. The wind was blowing and it was something like maybe 14 degrees out, maybe 12. It was ridiculously cold. I was miserable. So hopefully the footage turned out pretty okay with the stability of the cameraman, but check out what happened yesterday. So some people have been asking, and some of you may be wondering, how we are doing with this polar vortex that's been moving through here in East Tennessee. It's insanely cold. I think it's what, 12 degrees outside right now? And David was bringing some hay to the cows. Normally, this is not a problem. Today, it's a problem. David.
Hey.
He's stuck. How'd you get stuck?
Well.
Oh, sorry. Please excuse the rattling. That's a piece of roofing that fell, and there's nothing we can do about it until it gets thawed around here.
Project for another day. Well, I drove the tractor into the barn, heard a little bit of scraping on the way in, thought, well, that's weird. I drive this tractor in here all the time, not a problem. Got it in, at which point I realized on the way out, I could not, in fact, get it out. See, this here is about that much too low to get the tractor out of the barn, because if you look down, this mud and poop that I would normally just drive through and swap through is frozen solid. So I'm here with a mattock trying to cut tire tracks out, and it's going real well. It's freezing cold. My fingers are
painful.
Pink, incidentally, but I feel like they should be white. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. You really should be here. I wish you could join me in this adventure.
Trying to do something here.
Thank you, Rue.
So helpful.
Anyway, I'm gonna get back to chipping away.
Take us there.
Hey.
Nice. Oh, nasty.
Icy cow poop. Breakfast of champions. Ugh. Well, ha, ha.
Come on. Hup, hup, hup. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Oh my God, a warm body. Come on, let's go. Hup, hup. Come on, Claire. Come on.
There.
Come on. Try not to make her go too fast. I don't want her to slip. Come on.
How's my tire lining up?
You're lining up. Oh, whoops.
Let's see if it gives me clearance.
Clearance.
I need clearance! Clearance! Hey!
Hey, you made it.
Alright, move, Clarence.
Come on, buddy. You gotta move.
I am not above hitting the cow.
Come on. Move your butt just a little bit. You made it. I'm gonna open the gate.
that was an unwanted and unnecessary and unneeded adventure for the day. But I wanted to point out the fact that during this whole how are we going to get the tractor out adventure, we used one of our tips that we actually mentioned in our tips for first-time homesteaders video, which we'll tag up there one of these ways. But I wanted to show you, during my tractor tip, I said get a tractor that has the quick connect. So if you look at the front of my tractor right now, there's nothing there. I suddenly needed like 4 more feet to try all my cool turnaround moves that I was epically failing at before I realized I needed to dig. And if you turn around, you'll see where I just go ahead and dump that off mid problem.
Mid complication.
Yeah, so now I got to go in and get that implement that I just dropped. But I thought that was kind of cool. It was like, oh, you get yourself in a tight spot, you could just drop the implement and reposition and come back and get it later. So I got to go get that hay spear. It's not going to be light. It's going to kind of stink. My hands are really cold. That's a cow.
She really wants to go out that gate.
Yeah.
Look at you go.
Tractor makes this look a lot easier.
You are all that is man.
I am all that is a very cold man. You, Clarence, are always in the way. I need some clearance.
He is very much a trip hazard.
Come here, you big husky. You ever wanted to just hug a cow? He doesn't feel the same about humans, but...
He likes a good chin scratch. Oh my gosh.
You're going to need to move over, though. And after all that, I'm going to go ahead and put this implement back on. You could see the whole quick connect in action because it's just one of my favorite features. Let's start this bad boy up. Like that. These bars push down, locks it in place. I can go lift 1,000, 1,200 pounds of hay now. It's fantastic. Hi-ho, Silver! Away! That will be more impressive.
How crazy is that? Frozen cow poo that actually lifted the tractor to like too high on one side to get out. So we had that whole little snafu yesterday, but then last night when we were doing our night chores, David was filling the cow trough for water for the night and it broke. See that lovely crack right there? Yeah, that happened. So yeah, the trough broke last night while trying to fill water for the cows. So first thing this morning, we get to go out and buy a brand new one. Yay! So yeah, now we have a brand new galvanized cow trough that we haven't filled it all the way up right now because basically chores are in a couple of hours, and rather than have all this water that's just going to freeze, we're just going to go ahead and top it off at chore time, and then it can freeze. So I'm pretty sure that the cows are all looking forward to the end of the vortex. I know I am. Miss Claire is surely getting really tired of the vortex and having cold teats with the udder wash. So I'm looking forward to the thaw. Now, to be fair, I know that some of the northern climates get a lot colder than this and they stay a lot colder than this, but I'll say this. Number one, I am a weenie. I am a California girl. I do not like the cold. Number two, we are not equipped here for this kind of cold. We had issues where even David's office like closed down for a couple of days because it was not going to be safe on the roads for those who commuted in because we're not set up here. Like salt trucks were even slipping and sliding and tipping on highways, and it got really unsafe for people to be out on the roads, and it was just safer to be home. So Monday was a holiday. It was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and so David was home from work roads were frozen, icy, miserable on Tuesday. So his office didn't open, so he stayed home. Same on Wednesday. But on Tuesday, David actually came down with a stomach bug. A really, really bad, miserable, horrible stomach bug. Like, yeah, miserable. But it was about a 24-hour bug. And I was like, okay, we're good. Thursday. The kids and I all went down with it. So David did not go to work on Thursday or Friday because he had to take care of us and the entire farm because we were too sick to do it. So very, very blessed by that man. He really stepped up to the plate and did like all the chores. My parents stepped in and they helped. They don't do as much of like the morning chores, especially with all the ice and stuff. It's been more scary because my mom has a messed up knee. That happened actually shortly after we got here. One of the dogs was playing and crashed into her and tore the tendon in her knee. So she's unsteady and not unsteady. She's nervous on slippery surfaces because her knee can get really hurt. And my dad has mobility issues. So it was really awesome for them to step up and help out with the chores. And so I was able to be down and be miserable, but not have to worry about the farm. Now today is an eventful day in that we are processing our first homegrown sheep. Granted, this is not our first time processing a sheep. We have been doing them for others, for some of our friends and stuff like that, but this will be the first one that we are processing for ourselves. And Audrey has decided that she wants to step up to the plate and she is helping skin the sheep. So David is teaching her right now how to skin.
That's perfect.
Good job, Audrey.
Okay, now we're pushing up against the meat, against the.
It's cold.
Fur. It's cold. It's a mix of cold and warm, being inside the sheep and outside in the cold.
Yes.
But hey, cold weather is the time to do it.
At some point we'll have to do a skinning demo on animals, but this is kind of a cool experience. First time we've got to do one of our sheep on the farm. We just did our first a second ago. Now it's sheep. It's all animals. I was just telling her, it's not that I'm good at this. It's just I've done a lot of animals now. So
Deer
we kind of
mostly.
just deer mostly, pigs,
A cow.
You just kind of get to know the anatomy and follow the skin, and ultimately their animal suit comes off.
A lot of four-legged animals are
Very
pretty similar in that respect.
I will say, those white fluffy sheep that are in the fields are filthy, disgusting animals up
They
close.
really are.
Look at that nasty.
Wool sheep are really gross.
Yeah. So,
And
anywho,
there.
enjoy your polar vortex tour.
So for any of you who just skipped that segment because you didn't want to see a deceased creature, I just want to let you guys know that David did mention that we just did our first goat as well. There's a bit of a story to that. We have not come out of this farming experience unscathed. We had to make a very hard call today. So this is something that I have started to try to explain a couple of times and failed. I'm not sure that I've actually posted a video on this because I just had a really hard time talking about it, and now I really have to talk about it. So we lost Java today. Those of you who are new to the channel, Java was one of our Nigerian dwarf bucks. We used him last year to cover our 2 Nigerian does, Betsy and Jane, and we had 6 babies. 5 were boys and 1 was a girl. 2 weeks before breeding season this year, or I guess last year now, it's a new year, but in the fall, 2 weeks before breeding season, we discovered that he looked like he was standing a little weird, like he was walking a little weird. And so I reached out to his breeder, said, hey, does this look like what I think it is? And it turns out that he had carpal hyperextension, which basically means that his knees would hyperextend backwards. And it wasn't super noticeable at first, but over the last few months, it has significantly progressed to where his legs were pretty obviously not straight, not the right way they should be. But when we first discovered it, 2 weeks before breeding season, we had to just say, okay, he doesn't get to breed. He is no longer a breeding buck because carpal hyperextension does have a genetic component to it. So I also reached out to the one person who bought an intact buckling from me out of him and told her, hey, this is a thing. We found out he's got a genetic problem. Don't breed the buckling, and we will see about replacing him with our next crop of kids. And so we were able to, because we have 2 Nigerian bucks, we were still able to get all of our Nigerian does bred. We bred them all to Rocket instead of breeding some to Rocket and some to Java. And so we were covered, and we said, well, Java has this condition. We're going to give him the most comfortable life that he can have, and when it comes to be the day, we'll make that call. Unfortunately, today was that day. It was a really, really, really hard call to make, but he was starting to have a lot more trouble getting around. He was limping more. He was getting sores on the backs of his knees because he didn't lay down properly. A normal goat will kind of tuck their legs up under themselves, but he would lay with his front legs straight out, and he was developing sores they were pressure sores on the backs of his knees. And he even had some bleeding sores when we had a frost that came through. And I think that what happened is that he froze to the ground a little bit. So it just, I looked at him today, and he was really just struggling to get around. And it was like, okay, am I keeping him around for his comfort or for mine? And it was really hard. I don't regret my decision. I think that it was the right call, but it does not make it any less hard. We all had a tearful goodbye with him, and we dispatched Java today. While Java's condition affected his quality of life, it did not affect his overall health. So we decided that we are going to go ahead and process him for meat, because I feel like it would be a waste of his life if we just disposed of him. So we are in fact processing him for meat alongside the sheep that we decided to process today. So it's been a very emotional afternoon. It was something that we knew was coming. Didn't necessarily expect it to happen so quickly, because I mean, Java wasn't even quite 2 years old yet. And I had no idea that it would progress as quickly as it did. And so I am confident that we gave him a good life. He was well loved, and that we did the best thing by him by not forcing him to suffer longer. Yeah. I do also want to point out that this whole thing also completely blindsided Java's breeder. She did not know it was in the line, and at the same time that Java's issue was appearing, he had a half-brother that was also just coming up with symptoms of carpal hyperextension. So it was not something that the breeder had prior knowledge of and sold me a goat that she knew would have issues. 100%, she has been above board. She has been fantastic, and she has actually offered to replace Java with another breeding quality buckling out of her next crop of kids, which I think is probably the best thing that you can do in this given situation as a breeder, which is why I've done the same for the person who bought our buckling. It's just, we don't want to continue a fault in the line that we know causes issues. It causes leg issues. It causes pain. So we've been working together on it, and she was just as shocked and dismayed as we were that this even appeared in the line, and she discontinued the line from the buck that she used to sire Java. So it's been addressed, and there is absolutely no hard feelings toward her. She's been awesome. So yeah, we had to make a really, really hard call today, and I want to take a special moment to thank this man right here for doing the hard things when we have to make those hard calls. So thank you, David, because there's no way I could have done it.
It's really hard. I mean, we had the deal with Java. That's just, you can't plan for that. But you get animals on a farm. Some, what their fate is. This is a meat animal, right? We tell the kids that.
Right.
The chickens, these are pets. The others are meat birds. It's really easy, and you draw that line. And then you have the mishaps, right? The situations like Java's, where it's like, he was never supposed to be a meat animal. They're made of meat. I get that. It's
an animal you're intending to have around for a long time.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of big feelings that happen in a situation like this. We were in the house kind of discussing the whole what was coming situation, and Amanda said this would be one of our first big losses on the farm. And it's so hard as a homesteader. We call things losses because it's a loss, but it's also an emotional roller coaster you're going through. Yes, it's a lost life. He's gonna go to feed our family. There's a balance to it, I guess. But it's kind of like a pet. It's weird to separate that out because they're breeding stock. They are stock. They're livestock, and so when there's livestock, there's dead stock. I get that, but the adults were never supposed to be.
Right.
They're our pets. They're the ones that we love on and cuddle with.
Yes, exactly. These are the ones that they have. You get to know their personalities because you want to know their personalities. Of course, even meat animals have personalities, but you still have an emotional disconnect because you have to.
Oh, and we give those animals the best life they could live, and they have one bad moment, and that's it in their whole life. That's our goal for all of our animals, to have one bad moment ever.
And that's part of why we made that call for Java. He wasn't having one bad moment. He was struggling, and he was suffering. So it became a call of, is this for us or for him?
Yeah.
So.
And it's hard. This is the part of homesteading they don't really talk about in the brochure. It's definitely the part you have to know is there if it's something that's in your future. And anyone that has been through the loss of an animal, especially one that is dear to you, you have to decide if you're capable of actually consuming it. This animal, yes, is made of meat. Sometimes people just have to say, no, I can't. We can't eat our pet. That's just a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
But in this situation, Java will not go to waste. He's going to feed our family. That's just kind of part of the circle of homesteading life. And of course, we look calm, cool, and collected right now, but I literally had to retake this several times because I started crying.
We have been a hot mess, so.
Be strong when the kids are around. Be strong when the kids are around. But also, don't hide it from the kids. I just broke up right in front of Audrey. She's like, we were just skinning a sheep together, and it was totally normal.
We want to be strong and allow our kids to feel their feelings, but we also don't want to completely hide the fact that we are having feelings too. So, we were all together crying in one big group. So.
Yeah, 150 animals on the farm. There's going to be sadness. There's going to be tears.
Yeah.
It's understood that doesn't make them easier.
So, I guess, it's just another fact of homesteading that there's going to be loss and there's going to be grief. You have to process it in a healthy way.
Yeah. Well said.
So, now the sun is going down. I'm going to get our pregnant does their grain and little bit of a delicious treat that they will probably knock me down for. And call it a day. All right, ladies. I want some banana peel. I don't have enough for everyone. Oh yeah. There you go. That's all I got, ladies. I know. That's my fingers. I know that. Oh, Bandy, you don't eat banana peels. Good. This one here, waiting for her turn. Everybody else is either eating or has eaten. Betsy, you are doing much better this winter than last. Nice and wide. Miss Jane. Betsy seems to have really adjusted to the new climate here. She really struggled last winter. We struggled with keeping weight on her. She had a really rough time with kidding in the spring. And I really think she's doing a lot better this winter. So I think she's going to do much better moving forward. But with that, I think it's time to call it a day. It's been a long one. It's been a hard one. It's been a cold one. So tomorrow looks to be a warmer day. It's going to start out cold, but it's going to warm up and we're going to start seeing some major melt off with all this snow. As always, this is your country nerd with the goat herd, so that you can grow where you're planted.